Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 1. Government is making good on its decision to make the possession of small quantities of ganja a non-arrestable ticketable infraction that does not result in a criminal record. Stacey Ann Smith has more.
In May, Cabinet approved proposals to amend and enact legislation to do that and allow for the possession and use of ganja for religious purposes or for therapeutic purposes as prescribed by a medical practitioner, as well as for scientific research.
That legislation has now been drafted and will shortly go to the Legislation Committee of Cabinet for review, after which it will be taken to Cabinet for approval to be tabled in Parliament.
While making that announcement at Jamaica House on Tuesday, the Justice Minister said this meant the administration was still on track to take this legislation before Parliament during this calendar year. In a related move, on Tuesday, the lower house of Parliament approved legislation to automatically expunge the criminal records of persons convicted of minor ganja-related offences. The Senate had already passed the amendments to the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act on July 3, reducing the period for people convicted of misdemeanors to have their conviction expunged.
I've actually been in discussion with the Minister of Justice to ask him if possible, to deal with in regulations that any application for a police certificate will be deemed as an application for expungement to reduce the administrative bureaucracy.
While closing the debate in Parliament Tuesday, the National Security Minister said the amendment would also allow for the expungement of convictions involving teenagers 16 and under who have consensual sexual intercourse. A new bill is being drafted to allow citizens to possess small quantities of ganja and for religious groups to use the drug. Stacey Ann Smith reporting for JIS News.
In the meantime, Cabinet has approved proposals to amend the Dangerous Drugs Act to legally pave the way for local medical marijuana and industrial hemp industries under a controlled regime. Justice Minister Senator Mark Golding said Cabinet gave its approval on Monday, September 22.
And that means that drafting instructions can now be issued to the Office of Parliamentary Counsel for the preparation of the legislation that is required to facilitate the implementation of those proposals.
He said while the amended law would observe Jamaica's anti-narcotics obligations, the industries would operate on the license.
It must be emphasized that these proposals must be consistent with the existing requirements of the anti-narcotics treaties to which Jamaica is a party.
Licensing authorities will be established to govern the licensing processes for participation in the medicinal ganja and industrial hemp industries. The Ministry of Health is insisting that there is no shortage of paracetamol tablets and syrup in the public health sector. Paracetamol such as Panadol, Cetamol and Tylenol are used in the treatment and management of chikungunya symptoms. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Marion Bullock-Ducasse says contrary to media reports, the National Health Fund has adequate supply of the drugs. Dr. Ducasse says the ministry not only has regular and emergency stock, it also has supplies on order which can be accessed quickly if the need arises. She has urged the regional health authorities to pay close attention to their inventory management systems, especially in CHIKV-affected parishes, so that stocks are delivered in a timely manner. In the meantime, the Acting Chief Medical Officer says the ministry will continue its holistic response to the chikungunya outbreak. Cabinet has approved an additional $95 million to help farmers counter the effects of the recent drought. Acting Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Derek Kellier says $50 million of the total will be spent immediately and the remainder in the first quarter of next year.
Of the $50 million mentioned above, $30 million will be spent in Phase 1 on the resuscitation of farms that suffered losses.
Crops targeted include corn, tomato, red peas, pak choy, carrot and hot pepper.
The support contemplated will be the provision of planting materials, fertilizer, and also support with land preparation.
This will be administered by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, and about 5,000 farmers in the eastern parishes stand to benefit. And finally, as the nation celebrates Senior Citizens Week, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and related agencies will be conducting a review of the 1997 National Policy for Senior Citizens. The aim is to develop appropriate responses and strategies to address the current demands of the elderly population, including housing, healthcare, insurance and transportation.
I want to challenge the private sector businesses non-governmental organizations, and the church, as well as faith-based entities, to step up to the plate in assisting in providing some of these services that will assist in giving relief to older persons.
Senior Citizens Week runs from September 28 to October 4 under the theme Active Aging Through a Healthy Lifestyle. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.